Hello everyone, it's Myung-Jan. Today I am going to read SX-6048 Space Explorers Chapter 5. On our way back to Mars, we whizzed past Venus and the Moon. I wished I had gotten some moon rocks, but I was glad to have Rocco back. Maybe we have better luck collecting rocks on Mars. As we zoomed past Earth, Miss Frizzle had to steer around something that looked like a giant shiny insect in space. I knew it really wasn't an insect. It was a space station in orbit around Earth. Sun power at work, the Freeze exclaimed. Those huge solar panels use energy from the sun's ray to keep the space station supplied with power. Scientists can live and work in this station for months at a time. Empty space, there is no air and no weather. This means no cloudy days, so a lot of sunshine is available to make solar electricity. Cool, DA said. I'd like to work in a space station someday, not me. It would be too weird floating around weightless day after day. You get used to it, Arnold, DA said. Besides, there's plenty of exercise equipment to help you stay in shape. Another reason not to go, Arnold muttered. Gym was not his favorite class. We all glued to the window as the bus circled the space station, then flew off again toward Mars. Suddenly, Arnold yelled, Miss Frizzle, there's something following us. It's pointing to a bright streak of light that seemed to be moving very fast in our direction. It's a comet, cried Arnold. I just read a book about how a comet smashed into Jupiter a few years ago. This one looks like it's going to smash into us. According to my research, DA said, reading from a laptop, comets orbit the sun just like planets. It's a bird, it's a planet, it's a comet. Comets are balls of dust, ice, and rock. When warmed by the sun, comets' ice changes into gas and forms a tail that carries the rock and dust along. Comet's tail can be millions of miles long. Comets sometimes pass near Earth in their orbits around the sun. They look like long-tailed, fuzzy stars, but they don't have light of their own. The sun's reflected light gives them their flash good looks. The comet was gaining on us. Hold on, Miss Frizzle said. We're going to need some extra rocket power to keep ahead of the Comet 321 firing rockets. With a whoosh, the space bus shot forward, but the Comet was right behind. It seemed to be getting closer, and now we had another problem. Suddenly, we were surrounded by huge boulders floating through space. Asteroids, Miss Frizzle said. Big ones. Hold on, everyone. Looks like we are in for a bumpy ride. The boulders came rushing at us as a Freeze wildly punched buttons on the instrument panel. The bus jigged right, then jacked left, narrowly missing a huge asteroid. Aha! Gotcha. She didn't look scared. In fact, you would think that she was actually having fun. Look out, Miss Frizzle. Ruffy called. There's another giant rock ahead. Don't worry, Ruffy, Miss Frizzle said. Getting the hang of this now, the bus dodged the giant asteroid. Slipped between two smaller ones. We'll never get away from the comet at this speed. Arnold complained. Are any of these asteroids large enough for us to land on? Miss Frizzle, good thinking, Arnold. There's one that should do. Miss Frizzle set the space bus down on the bumpy surface of the large asteroid. We made it just in time. A second later, the comet sped by above us, grew smaller and smaller, until it disappeared in the dark beyond. That was awesome, Tim said when the comet was gone. That was scary. Where are we, Miss Frizzle? I asked. How much farther to Mars? Miss Frizzle pulled out her map of the solar system. We're so busy getting away from the comet, we skipped right past it. I'm afraid. We're now in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. We'll have to backtrack a few million miles. No problemo. Miss Frizzle fired a rocket to turn the bus back toward Mars, but there was a strange grinding sound. Uh-oh, Chapter 6. Uh-oh, Miss Frizzle said. The rocket controls are not responding. I can shut the rockets off or turn the bus around. I'm not surprised, Keisha said. Nothing is going right on this trip. Space bus left the asteroid belt and headed farther into space. Miss Frizzle tried to cheer us up. I'm sure we'll be able to figure out how to fix the rocket. In the meantime, we are on a course for Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system. I've always wanted to visit the outer planets. Out of sight. Outer planets are the planets in our solar system that are farthest from the sun. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. According to the distance gauge on the instrument panel, we are more than 300 million miles from Earth. That means we are more than 400 million miles from the sun. Miss Frizzle said there is not much heat or light this far out. The rocket controls could be frozen. I'll have to go into the engine room and check them out. She grabbed a flashlight and headed for the tunnel at the back of the bus that led to the engine room. We all looked at one another. What's going to happen if Miss Frizzle can fix the rocket? I don't want to think about it, said Fluffy. Arnold pointed his finger at me. This is all your fault. Carlos, he said, we're in this mess because of that robot thing you brought along. Go easy on. Carlos, Tim said, it was my fault that rocket blasted off the moon. Stop arguing, Phoebe begged. I'm sure Miss Frizzle will take care of everything. Hey, look, D.A. called. There's Jupiter. I can see the great red spot. We forgot about the rocket trouble as we crowded around the window to see Jupiter. It was an amazing sight with gray, brown, blue, and orange stripes all around it. Those stripes are really clouds of gas. The gas is always swirling around because the planet spins so fast, Tim explained. He had done his report on Jupiter. Jupiter makes one full rotation every 10 hours. More than twice as fast as Earth, so its days are really short. And Jupiter is windy too. The great red spot is actually a huge raging storm. It's as big as 3 Earths side by side. Everything about Jupiter is supersized. It weighs as much as 318 Earth. It has 16 moons. 4 of them are larger than planet, but they are moon because they orbit Jupiter, not the sun. Jupiter, the gas giant. Tremendous gravity. If you stood on Jupiter, you would weigh 2.5 times more than on Earth, but you couldn't stand on Jupiter any more than you could stand on a cloud. The surface is all gas, mostly hydrogen. It's deadly cold, more than minus 227 degrees Fahrenheit. You could even get struck by lightning from Jupiter's clouds. The lightning bolts are 10,000 times more powerful than on Earth. Well, we're all going to be in supersized trouble if Miss Frizzle doesn't get the rockets fixed fast. We're passing Jupiter and going even farther into space. Just then, Miss Frizzle came out of the tunnel. She gave us the bad news. Hitting coils that warm the rocket controls are out. She reported it looks like one of the main heat valves is frozen shut. Keisha shook her head. We're in for it now. She said, if we can turn around, the space bus will keep on going. Out past Uranus and Neptune and Pluto out of the solar system. Oh dear. Not to worry, Keisha, Miss Frizzle said. We'll just have to open the valve by hand. It must be a tool we can use around here somewhere. She pulled out a large equipment locker and we all started searching through it. In the meantime, the bus was hurtling through space. We stopped the search to take a look at the planet Saturn, queen of the planet. Saturn is like a queen with rings and moon jewels. More rings and moons than any other planet. The rings are made of bits and chunks of rock and ice, some as tiny as grains of sand, some as big as a house. Saturn is really big, Arnold said. It's the second largest planet. She was excited. This was her planet. Next to Earth, I think Saturn is the most beautiful planet in the solar system, she said. Look at those rings that go around the planet. There are thousands of them. We watched as Saturn and its biggest moon called Titan grew farther and farther away. Even Tim was getting worried now. Even I was getting worried now. In space, there's no air to cause a friction to stop a moving object. If we didn't get the rockets working, we would fly out of solar system into deep space. We would keep going forever and ever. We would be lost in space. In chapter 7, we are so lucky to see the rings of Saturn. Hooray, Miss Frizzle, yeah, she pulled a wrench out of the equipment box. I'll have the fuel valve opened before you can say Frizzle system. While Miss Frizzle was in the engine room, we came upon another planet surrounded by rings. It was a beautiful blue-green color, but there was something really weird about it. Hey, that's my planet, Uranus, Wanda exclaimed. See how it looks like? It's on its side, she said. All the other planets are tilted slightly as they orbit the sun, but Uranus leans way over. It sure looks topsy-turvy. You'd be topsy-turvy too if you were struck this far out in space, I told Wanda. You're more than 1.5 billion miles from home. Uranus, strangest planet. Its poles point almost directly toward the sun. Scientists think some moon or asteroid smacked into the planet billions of years ago made it tilt like that. It's a gas giant like Jupiter and Saturn, and its pretty blue-green color comes from methane gas in its atmosphere. The bus seemed to be going faster and faster. We zipped past Uranus and onward toward Neptune. Where was Miss Frizzle? Even though we had the jitters, we couldn't help oohing and eyeing as we passed the icy blue Neptune. Hey, it's my planet. It looks just like a marble. Stormy blue marble. Then we are all surprised to find out that Pluto, the smallest planet in the solar system, is always the farthest planet from the sun. Sometimes Pluto's orbit brings it closer to the sun than Neptune is, Raffi told us. He had done his report on both planets, but now Pluto is back in its usual place. Pluto is smaller than our moon, so far away that the sun is just a very bright star in Pluto's black sky. It's also the coldest planet, with an average surface temperature of minus 369 degrees Fahrenheit. No space probes have gone out toward Pluto yet, so we don't know very much about it. We don't know that its moon Charon is an unusual sidekick. They revolve around each other so closely that they are called a double planet system. At last, Miss Frizzle came out of the engine room. It looks like I'm gonna need some help with that valve, she said. Carlos, come along with me. You're good at fixing things. I started to follow Miss Frizzle into the tunnel. Then I heard something behind me. Yip, yip, yip. Rocco was right on my heels. I think he wants to come too, I said. I picked him up and crawled into the tunnel after the freeze. Once we were in the engine room, Miss Frizzle turned to me with a frown. I didn't want to say anything in front of the other, but we have a problem. I can see the stuck valve all right, but I can't reach it. My hand is too big to fit through the opening around the valve. I thought your hand might fit. She leaned over and pointed a flashlight at the opening. It was close to the floor and very small. There was no way I could get my hands inside. Rocco started rolling around in a circle. Yip, 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 he barked. His tail wagged back and forth. You know something, Miss Frizzle? Rocco's mechanical arm would fit in there easily. I used the remote to close his built-in arm around the valve. Rocco's motor might be strong enough to twist the valve open. Give it a try. This playful pup of yours might turn out to be a hero after all. We held our breath as I pushed the button to activate Rocco's arm. We heard a whirring noise, then a clank as a scoop clamped around the valve. The motor slowed down for a moment, then purred back to life. Did it work? Miss Frizzle put her hand up to the heating coil. They're getting warm. All right. Beamed the 3 cheers for Rocco and Carlo. A short while later, all the rockets were back online. The bus made a wide arc and turned around Pluto and Charon. Mars or bust, the Freeze exclaimed. She fired the main rocket, and we were out of there. The end.